Hello, my name is Michael aka The Movie Wist. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Hello, Minos. How have you been faring during this global pandemic?
Hello, Michael. First of all, it's nice to be at your company, and thank for all the people that are listening to our beautiful conversation. Well, global pandemic, I don't know really. I mean, it's a strange situation right out of a sci-fi film, right? The only difference is that it's real.
This is true.
Yeah, I would say that I'm coping really well. I mean, apart from all the bad stuff happening, the good thing is that I had lots of time to focus on my next feature, which is yet another horror film.
I would say if we lived in the George Romero universe, we just transitioned from Dawn of the Dead into Day of the Dead.
Yeah, that's pretty right. That's spot on, I think. I mean, George Romero actually has its credit in what's happening, and I'm hearing that they're releasing one of his films right now, an older one, right?
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I got to meet him a month before he died, though.
Okay, that's great.
It was a good time. He came to Ottawa. All right, so let's talk about your movie.
Yeah.
Tell me why audiences will enjoy Entwined.
Well, Entwined, I think, is layered with many elements like folk tales, horror elements that actually make this contemporary, really grounded fairy tale, as I would like to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But most of all, I think they will find the characters very familiar because deep down we're dealing with all the aspects of a relationship, of a doomed relationship. So in that sense, everybody has experienced some relationship where they don't know where they at, where they feel crazed a bit and they're the only ones in the world and like nobody else exists, falling in love, and then slightly things start to go bad. You're not sure if it's your problem or the other person's problem, but pretty soon you're in a very weird situation and maybe you cannot get out of. And I think this is what the majority of people will feel very familiar towards their experiences and what they're watching in the film.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. What a pitch. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that movie? I know I'm excited, even though I've seen the movie and I like it already.
Thank you very much for saying so. I don't know, maybe some people have so vivid and so powerful relationship that maybe they don't want to deal with that on the big screen. Who knows?
That's true as well. Maybe they got out of a bad relationship and they hate the world. So if they hate your movie because they hate the world, it's not the movie's fault. So we were lucky in Canada to have you come over with this film at TIFF last year. And I
Yep.
would love to hear about maybe what it was like in all elements, from the screening to back rooms. Tell me about TIFF for you.
Yeah, well, it was an amazing experience, most of all because TIFF is such a beautiful festival and it's surrounded by cinema goers and cinephiles that really put themselves into the festival. They're really supportive and they really enjoy the films throughout the screenings. They're a lovely audience. While we were, trying to find money to shoot the film back in Greece 5 or 6 years ago, because Greece is not very familiar with folk tales filmmaking and genre filmmaking in general, there was always this big question that bothered us from the people that gave us money or from the people that wanted to work with us. Who will be interested to watch a Greek film based on folk tradition, right? And this question kept coming up over and over again. And the first one that actually answered it in a very good way was TIFF, that said there is room in the world for this film. People will be interested in that. So it was a sigh because we said that finally, and there is room so people can watch it.
Well, that's cool. Did you have any bump-ins with notable celebrities?
I nearly ran into Joaquin Phoenix because we were premiering exactly at the same time when Joker was premiering.
Oh, wow.
So I think when I was walking to my theater, I saw well dressed as much as I could. I sort of pretended that I belonged to the Joker screening rather than mine, which was a nice feeling.
That's fun. That's pretty cool. So you saw Joaquin Phoenix in the flesh?
Yep, coming out of his limo, going into the screening, panic happening in the streets. That was really great.
That sounds like Joaquin. Yeah.
Yeah. I also had a very nice meeting with this Swedish actor. I don't remember his name now. That I saw him in the lobby, and we're the only people in the lobby, and we just sort of glanced at each other one night, like,
Oh,
okay, this is really tough, and we sort of agreed by a glance of the head that, you know, that it was a tough festival anyway.
it's a good time though. It's still it's an overwhelming experience.
Yeah, it is. It is. Of course, it's an overwhelming because everything is so packed. I mean, the screenings are packed, the reviews are packed.
Mm.
But when you're presenting a film, you need to be there and give interviews and promote the film, which is, a
Mhm.
mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, you had to be on, but you're also swept up, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get swept up in this thing and you realize how can you draw attention and what is people's expectation towards every film in there.
Mm. All right. Please tell me about the challenges and also the rewards you face making movies in Greece.
Well, in Greece, we actually have, we make, I mean, as you can understand, films with a very limited budget. Hence, the
Hmm.
majority of these films are shot in apartments, are very limited, two or three actors. So we said we could try and do the exact opposite, like shooting a film with three or four main characters that set outdoors in a most magnificent forest that originally inspired Greek legends of the past. That's where we shot the film in Mount Parnassus. And it was a mind-blowing experience because we were, surrounded by wildlife on location, 4 hours from Athens, surrounded by wild animals and in the mercy of the weather in this beautiful forest, which allegedly was, the residency of the great god Pan, according to legends. And we were hammered every day to our knees by weather conditions and problems that you have when you shoot on location. But the end was very rewarding because this tough forest actually gave us its present and its merits while we were there to survive the shooting.
All right. Okay. So you said something pretty incredible. Tell us about the Greek god Pan some more.
I think he's the naughty one. He's the one that he's always drunk, plays music, and has horns and goat's legs, and he keeps sneaking up on people and chanting them with his music and his wine,
Wow.
and makes them do all the naughty things that people do from time to time.
So would he be pals with Dionysus if they interacted?
Yeah, I think they would somehow click. They have common interests. So, I'm pretty sure in some weird way he sort of challenged our shooting every day.
All right. Tell us about the folk horror movies that inspired you while you were writing this screenplay.
Okay, so I like old movies. One of the films that I found very intriguing was actually The Wicker Man, Robin Hardy's Wicker Man, which I think is a fantastic film, although a bit cult, but it's a great film.
Hmm.
I'm always very inspired by Japanese films of the 60s, like Ugetsu by Mizoguchi or Onibaba by Kanedo Shindo, because I think they combine in such a good way horror, cultural heritage, and love stories. So you're not sure in this world where you're at. Maybe you are the meeting point of all these worlds or themes, but
Hmm.
it's a very rewarding sentiment that you get when you watch those films.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, as a kid, I got enchanted by Tim Burton and Terry Gilliam, who I was so lucky to meet 10 years ago.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
yeah, and I mean, they're fascinating filmmakers that they actually make these overblown fairy tales that right from the moment on, you know that you're in fairyland, right? So our task was to make a fairy tale that you don't know that you're in fairy tale land until the middle of the film, and it feels like real life up to then.
Are you a fan of the Japanese movie Kwaidan?
Of course, Kobayashi's film, it's a great
Yeah,
film. It's
I
a
love
really
that movie.
amazing film. It's really funny because the original author of this book, Lafcadio Hearn,
Hmm.
was actually half of his. He was from Greece. I mean, he was a combination of British and Greek, British father, Greek mother, and then he moved to Japan. And he's considered to be Japan's folktale writer.
I think Entwined is similar to Kwaidan in sort of a more um, I don't know, how do I say it? Atmospheric horror without
Yeah.
like it's not about jump scares. It's about more ambiance.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I always feel that the more effective the horror is, the one that sneaks on you and it doesn't jump scare you. Because when you go to watch a film, I mean, in order for the jump scares to work, they need to be bigger and bigger every time because your whole system actually gives you the signal that you should beware, right? So in order for you to keep getting afraid, the jump scares need to go over the top. I would much rather prefer the ambience and an aura that sneaks up on you while you're watching, and it's always there, and you're not sure if or whether it's going to do anything to you. I find that more effective and moody.
Yeah, definitely more challenging too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's the difference of having someone jump from the closet or knowing that he's in the closet and he might or might not jump out. You know, it's more scary that way.
Yeah. Huh. All right. So, tell me about your short films that you made prior to this feature.
Okay, I did a series of 5 short films that gradually led to the themes, I would say, of this film. And they are, I think, more to like a magic realism type of cinema, where you see real life, and then some supernatural catalyst comes up and forces people to change. And then as a viewer, you actually can, get close to what they do to change and find a part of yourself in them. So, for example, my latest short film called The Attic, it was the story of the most mundane clerk on planet Earth. That suddenly becomes interesting because when he moves into a new apartment, he finds Ziggy Stardust practicing in his attic. And suddenly he becomes more interesting, different, and more vivid. So I would say that I'm flirting with the themes of Rod Serling's Twilight Zone, where you have real life situations that could happen next door, and unexplainable phenomena forces them to take another route.
Wow, that's pretty remarkable. Okay, so I guess it was like they were really solid push-ups.
Yeah, I mean, really solid ones. You're right.
All right, the clapping push-ups with one arm or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my hands are in pain because of these push-ups. I'm telling you that.
Tell me about. We were talking about ambiance creeping in. How much of the role of music has a role in that?
The role of music. Well, I think because the main premise is a doctor that gets lost in the forest trying to save a girl that's in peril, and we wanted to give this ambience of threatening forest that doesn't allow him to leave. So because he's in uncharted territory with many secrets, we thought that it would be really great for the music to be a combination of sounds and aura that surrounds him. And you're not sure you're listening to the music. It kind of sneaks up in you. Because what I find really hard to get along with modern filmmaking is when music starts to dictate stuff that are not there on the big screen, like emotions, and everything becomes so specific and so pushy. So we thought, let's make a film that will resemble a mist that sort of is around people. And as a viewer, you might find that was I listening to music just here or was it just a sound? So we're experimenting in this borderline with a great musician, Greek jazz musician actually, called Sotiris Debonos, who made and brought artificial sounds that were actually incorporated in what he did, combining electronical instruments and vibes and some classical instruments as well.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Yeah. I got to learn more about Greek jazz.
Yeah, there is a lot of Greek jazz, and he's one of the pioneers, actually. And if you see in Japanese films, actually, I'm coming back to Japanese film. I know it might be a boring subject. But
no, it's not a boring subject.
I mean, if you watch the big Japanese films of the 60s, like Woman in the Dunes or, Kurosawa films, they have this fantastic jazz music that does crazy stuff. I mean, very scary, very moody, very, very, ironic whenever it works. So I'm really hung up on that. And I wanted to try this to a Greek film as well.
God, that's fantastic. Yeah, Akira Kurosawa is such a seminal filmmaker. I assume you're a big Rashomon fan?
Yeah, I'm a really big one, and I'm even a bigger Toru Takemitsu fan. I mean, he's the guy that wrote music for most of his films for a lot Japanese directors.
Sure.
And I think he's quite great. You don't know what to expect, and I would like to go to the movies and come up with stuff that I didn't expect to happen, which is like real life, right? Like real life, weird things happen. You don't expect them, and you get faced by them, and that's what I would like to do when I go to the cinemas. Get surprised.
Yes, absolutely. Do you like Shina Tsukamoto?
Well, I haven't seen many of his stuff. I think I'm more attracted to the older filmmakers,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
like Kanedo Shindo and stuff like that, which I find really good, the black and white ones.
The black and white ones. Yeah, that post-war Japanese cinema.
Yeah, I mean, this avant-garde thing that they had, which is quite remarkable, like Fires in the Plains and,
Mm.
big productions like, I don't remember its title now, but I think they're quite great and very big in scope, which, make it very interesting.
How about Lone Wolf and Cub?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not this is
Yeah,
like,
less so, right? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going there because it's more camp and I think it's more like having fun with it. I've seen a
Sure.
couple of these films, but they're not my type. Samurai films are not my type in a way. I mean, unless they relate to something like religion, they relate to something like, spirituality.
Mhm.
I mean, I like revenge films a lot, and these series of films have their own aura, but it's not my cup of tea.
Perfectly acceptable answer. All right.
Yep.
So we really get a sense of what you're about through this conversation of Japanese cinema, I think. So I want to thank you very much for your time, Minos,
Thank you.
and I would love for you to leave us with a final thought.
Okay, so because Entwined is a film that opens many doors, it's okay for people to watch it to have many questions about why things are happening because they're stepping into this natural twilight zone when many things are going to be unanswered. But I would be very happy if they try to give an answer to themselves. I see they were in the shoes of the protagonists, and maybe they will find something interesting there.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you much for your company, Michael.